Welcome to Bring Out Your Badass Self, a movement to break your negative thoughts and habits and instead focus on building each other up and encouraging fearless authenticity.
Each week, we will get vulnerable and share experiences alongside our guests and audience. Come rediscover your inner badass self.
Good morning, badass.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I am looking forward to the weekend.
Awesome.
It has been a kind of long, roughish week. And I mean, rough in a good way, just energy-wise. Like, I've been like a little tired.
Okay.
A little like just wanting to like hunker down. And like when you just want to like chill.
Hibernate? You want to hibernate?
Yes. I want to hibernate.
Well, it sounds like we have the perfect show for you today.
Yes, it does. It really does.
I mean, so today we're going to be talking about energy, and a lot of times our energy is down and sometimes it's up, and all of those types of things, how we interact with people and how our energy impacts that. And today we're going to be bringing on Jenna Phillips. I will say she is back by popular demand from everyone. People were requesting her to come back, and it ended up being a perfect time to also bring her on. But before we do that, I just want to make sure that I also wanted to note that I got a notification right as we were going live that it said we were having an issue with LinkedIn. So I posted real quick out there. Join us on YouTube if you're having any issues. So Kate, maybe you can also talk a little bit, welcoming people that are joining us. And I'm going to go find that YouTube link to be able to post out there.
Yeah.
Maybe you can just tell us, like what's going on? Why do you think you're in hibernation mode?
I am, well, I think there's a couple of things. Hibernation mode is real right now, I think, because of maybe things that are going on in the lunar cycle. I don't know. We can ask our guest about that when she arrives.
Okay.
The other, I think just personally, we were traveling a lot, and we really didn't even want to come home. The kids wanted to come home, but Jenna and I, we love the adventure life. So I think it's been a little weird being here and like adjusting. So I think that's part of it. So we're still like talking about future vacations and planning things. So I think that's a big part of it is we just want to be hunkered down and in planning mode, kind of like, what you feel like around the beginning of the year. That's what I'm feeling, that kind of energy right now.
I hear you. I know with that energy well, at the end of the year when you're like, come on, let's just, it's Christmas time, right? Let's do the holidays and just spend some time with family.
Yeah.
So we do have Jen Roberts. I did post out on YouTube, on LinkedIn, the link out there. I just let people know that if they were having issues, they could go ahead and come there, because I did see some people signed up. So I'm curious if we are truly having issues on LinkedIn. Yep, I see the message again.
Yeah.
Yep, it says it's not showing up. It's still trying to fix it. So we are having an issue out there. So hopefully people will jump over to YouTube once they see that comment. So Jen says, good morning, ladies. Happy Friday from the Sunshine State. Listening when I can today. Nice to see your faces, and thank you for bringing joy and energy. God knows I need it. So thank you, Jen, for jumping on.
Yes. Hi, J-Ro. Nice to hear from you. Yeah, I wonder, we've got a couple of folks that are avid LinkedIners, and they'll be annoyed, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll jump over to YouTube once they see that that's where they need to go.
Yes.
And, we might try to blame it on Friday the 13th. You never know about energy. But, I don't look at Friday the 13th as a negative. I know some people do. I actually posted about that today, and I put, have a killer day. I had Jason's mask on the image and things like that. And so I think we might talk a little bit about that today too.
Oh, here is Amy.
Yay! Are you able to pull it up?
Yep. So she says, good morning, same time zone, and so excited to be live. Yeah, LinkedIn is not working this morning, Amy.
Yep.
Amy and her crew came over last night. So she is relocating back to Chicagoland. So we are absolutely thrilled. She's here for a visit for one of her kiddos, who's in a music camp here in Wisconsin. But, she's relocating from New Mexico back to whence she came. And we are super thrilled because I think it's been like 7 years that she's lived in Albuquerque.
Yeah, I know it's been many years, at least since I've known her. I believe she's been over there.
Yes. Yeah. I think I think
she says 8 years.
8 years. Well, we are so excited. Our kids are so excited. They were talking.
I want to say it's since I've known you, right?
It could be. Yeah. Because we met in like 2017. So but we're so excited to have Amy and her family back close to us.
That's awesome. It's always great to have good friends and family where you're reconnecting with them and you're closer with them.
Exactly. Yeah. Friends so good, they're family. That's what I love. Yeah.
I love that. Well, I want to jump into today's guest and bring her on. So let me take her off of mute and switch things over. Good morning, Jenna.
Good morning.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing really well. I'm happy to be back.
That's awesome. Yes, our returning champion, Jenna Phillips. So she has been on the show, I think, 3 times now, correct?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 because we did one with Oscar. She did one alone.
You're right. And then there was the foster home. And then she was on previous. So you really are the reigning champion.
Great success.
I would like to say it's my energy.
Yes.
Yes.
So I have to tell you this. So I told Riley, I said, yeah, we're having Jenna on today. And she goes, Jenna who first? And I said, Jenna, Cate's wife. And she goes, oh, yeah. She goes, what are you talking about? And I said, we're going to be talking about energy. She goes, oh, well, that's appropriate. She has really good energy.
Oh, I love her. How is her trip going?
She's back. She's back from Europe. She was ready to get back.
Yeah.
It was so sweet. One of the people that look after her, she came up to introduce herself to me, and she said, your daughter really loves you. And she goes, she talked about you all the time. And she goes, and towards the end of the trip, she was like, I want to get back home and see my mom.
Oh,
I was like, oh my gosh, that's so just amazing to hear as a mom.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just to know that she had that connection with her. I mean, overseas, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I love hearing that. She had a great time.
Yeah. Well, Jenna, for those that don't know you, as you know, this month we are talking about the law of energy. Mm-hmm. And I thought we might ask you to share with us who Jenna is by sharing with us how your energy communicates who you are.
Okay. So, I'm Cate's wife. And Sarah's friend for 8 years now. You guys, I overheard you guys how long we've known each other. So
yeah.
And how my energy affects who I am. This has been something that I've learned throughout my journey. It started at a very young age, where people were approaching me, telling me things that they probably shouldn't be telling me as a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 15-year-old. And I realized that was because my first language is energy. I give off a presence that feels safe before I speak. And that helped me to cultivate a verbal language to come along with that energy presence. So I can go deeper into, specifics as to what that's looked like for me. If people are interested, animals approach me. Kids are really happy. I guess if you've ever seen the movie The Santa Claus with Tim Allen, it's old. He's sitting on a bench and he's trying to pretend he's not Santa Claus, and kids are lining up next to him to tell them this is what I want for Christmas. That's kind of my energy. So I'm at a park and kids are coming up to me to tell me they have boo-boos. So it's a safe place where I'm at, and I believe that's my energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how might energy set the tone with our interaction? So for other people, what might we keep in mind when we're interacting with people, and how our energy, sort of sets the tone?
I think it all starts with how aware you are of your energy. Some people aren't connected to that. It's more of a left brain, logical, physical experience for most. I'm very right-brained, spiritual sense. So the physical is always in the back of my mind. So I'm always sensing. So I guess it would be first to sense, just to be able to put those little receptors out to start gauging your interactions with folks, if that makes sense. We have a neighbor who presents as very anxious. And whenever you interact with this person, walking up the driveway, there's just this feeling that you can, I don't know, you just know it's there. I know it's there. So I believe that sets the tone for that person, because they're not aware of their energy being very anxious.
Yeah. I can say that the first time I chatted with you, it was over phone. It wasn't, in person, but immediately I just felt warmth. I felt just also seen. You have such a way of helping people feel seen in the way that you communicate to people as well. And it's just the most amazing energy to feel, because then you're like, oh, wow, how can I also make other people feel that way too? Because it's just like it's like that ripple effect of like, once you feel that, you want to also embody that type of energy too. So I just wanted you to know that.
I really appreciate that. I have felt very seen by you in our friendship. You've told me that before, and how nurturing you feel that I am. And that has really felt validating, because I do try to give that to the world.
Yeah. And I would say for, Cate, the energy that I feel from her is one of excitement. Like, she also adds joy to, and I don't use the word joy that often. Just so you know, joy for me is someone that is just able to also make you feel so happy in life, and just gives you a sense of wanting to just sort of like laugh. And, it's like that jovial, I think of almost like, as you said, Santa Claus, like that jovial, spirit as well, but just also someone that is very warm as well in, in the things that she even does with our clients and things like that. So both of you together just bring together some amazing energy.
Oh, I really appreciate that, Sarah. Thank you so much. And your vibe attracts your tribe, they say, right? So you also have this incredible energy that radiates this sense of, I want others to feel that they belong, and I want to be able to help them get there, and I love that about you.
Thank you. One of the things that you also said that I've learned through, as I've continued, is that I've been very stuck in my mind. Like, I'm a very logical person.
Mhm.
But when it comes to like making decisions or identifying the things, the path, or the things that decisions that I need to do, I have found that I need to focus more on the feeling, on the emotions, getting to the gut of things, which I know for you is very much intuition. So I was curious as to, talking maybe a little bit about energy and, trusting also energy in, as you meet someone. Sometimes we judge a book by its cover. And sometimes if we allow and feel the presence of people, we then will make a better decision in sort of knowing whether this person is trustworthy. Because, let's face it, we're humans. We're built to go, can I trust this person? In the amygdala, I think it is, the reptilian brain. So maybe talk a little bit about how does one know energy? Can they trust energy? And also, how does that relate to intuition?
Okay, so I think there are a lot of layers there to what you said. So if we back that up,
Yeah.
Trusting energy. So when you meet someone and not judging them by the energy that comes across. So they haven't, let's say you meet someone and they're very angry that day, or defensive.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily who they are. That's the energy that they're carrying with them. Now, that might not be their energy or their energetic signature, which we all carry, right? That could be something that they picked up along the way that attached to them, that they have not yet cleared, that they, it could be an interaction they had prior that they weren't able to process before you interacted with them. So really separating that energy piece and looking deeper to the intuition. And that's where it gets a little like a gray area for people, right? What's the difference between energy and intuition?
Yeah.
And that's knowing a little bit more outside of the physical and the left brain and the, oh, well, this person's really dismissive today. It's a little bit more putting the left and the right brain together. Well, what else could they be going through? What else do I know about them? And if you don't know anything about them, it's maintaining your own energy, not absorbing that. It's grounding is very important. So if you're familiar with grounding, it's really just keeping your energy, your own signature. Sometimes that's really hard. And after certain interactions, we need to go out into the earth barefoot and plant our feet in grass and dirt and wood and use our crystals and meditate, whatever works. But going into interactions with strangers, it's really important that we ground ourselves and we put a protective barrier around our own energy. So we're not picking that up and we're not diving into that as to who they are. And then an aura, sensing their aura, sensing more of what else could be going on here. This person seems frazzled. And so that's where I like to bring in transmuting energy. It's something that comes naturally for me, but I would highly suggest people look into that. And it's something you can learn how to do. You can cultivate this skill. And it is, I 100% recommend it. It's transformational. And so usually that's what I do. I just help those people transmute that energy from a negative to a positive. And then I start really figuring out who they are. And I trust this.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay. So first, one of my first questions is, like, to our audience, what are some tools or some ways that you might need more grounding in that moment? Right?
That's your question to the audience or to me? I'm sorry.
To you. Yeah. I was wondering if you could tell our audience that.
Okay. Anxiety presents, right? Physical sensations. Your heart's beating fast. You're having a hard time hearing what's going on around you. Those are some physical sensations. Things feel warm. Your face is flushed. And if you're not aware of that, paying attention to your body is really important.
Yeah.
Another one is really not knowing, like really not being able to get a sense of where you are in time, in space, and where this person is. The energy is then chaotic in that time and space. And
So if you're feeling like a little lost, that's another like
definitely
clue.
Feeling lost, feeling uneasy. If Sarah had talked about a gut reaction, so this just feels uneasy. I'm not sure what it is. I'm uncomfortable right now. Kids are really good at this. Kids are really good at saying, I'm uncomfortable. They don't know why, but that because they're, I don't want to jump too far ahead or past this question, but that's kind of where it all develops in childhood, right? We're taught to be aware and read the room.
Let's dive in further. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think my first session with you guys, the episode was about trauma in childhood and having a hard life. So from a young age, I was taught to read the energy of the room, to know what was going on around me. I embraced that skill and built on it. Now, I do think that we are born with this and everyone can develop it, but mine was a survival skill that I needed to have. So therefore, I just used it my entire life, right? And so that's why kids are so just inherently good at this. It's survival. They need to know what people are feeling, and so they can sense that. And so maybe someone who has an easier life, that when they walk into the kitchen every day, they don't need to know if mom or dad or caregiver is what they're going to give off, because they're safe no matter what, whether that caregiver is upset, that child is safe. But if they experience any level of trauma, that goes up. Your other senses are going to be on alert. And that's something that I think a lot of people are learning now, right? We're talking about it nowadays.
Yeah.
And that's out there. So yeah, kids are really good at knowing, ooh, I'm a little uncomfortable. So to answer your question, Kate, feeling uncomfortable, feeling uneasy, physical sensations, sometimes nausea, right? Like I have a headache all of a sudden. A headache is a huge clue that this energy is negative. I'm learning not to really say bad or good. It's a new mindset for me, negative or positive. It kind of just is. But when it doesn't feel right, I need to do something else. I need to transmute this. And it comes pretty naturally. I do believe it's a gift that I have and that some have. So I'm like to hang out with my friends when they're not feeling good. And then, they walk out and they're like, oh, Jenna, I feel so much better. You're human medicine. And for a while that felt really strange to hear. And now I've really embraced that. Like if I can heal you just by spending an hour with you, let's go for a walk. Let's do that. Like, let's have fun.
That's awesome. Absolutely. I was thinking about a video this morning that I watched that actually very much resonates with a lot of what you're talking about. So it was a video of a kitten, and this lady had it wrapped up in a little blanket, but the kitten had been, out in the wild and hadn't had any real type of interaction and was sort of by itself. And that's why she was working to get it to understand she was safe. So she had it wrapped up in the blanket. And as the cat hissed, she was like, hisses get kisses. And so she would kiss the top of the head. And I started to think about that, like when people are angry or when they're like upset, it's like they're really just wanting safety. And so she worked to do that. So she had this little, this packet to give the cat food. And she finally like got a little on it, and the cat was like, it like stopped the brain immediately. Like it was like, and then the moment it felt some food and like smelled things, it required it to stop what it was doing, and like the brain ended up functioning in a different way. And then all of a sudden it was like, ooh, but I like this food. And so it just kept going after the food. But after a while, she then gained trust. And so when we think about that type of energy and people are anxious or people are upset, when we stay grounded, as you said, and we then become a safe place, people then transmute their energy. And so I think that's what you're talking about when you talk about transmute. But can maybe you go a little bit further so people that don't know what transmuting energy is, maybe talk a little bit further about what does that look like?
Absolutely. I will like to just like to touch on the food. I also like to gain people's trust with food. So cooking a meal for someone is a love language, right? So feeding a scared kitten is a love language. And so definitely agree with that frame of thinking as well. But yeah, remapping their energy signature at that point, the stress levels, remapping the brain in general. And we have some adopted kiddos, which we've talked about on previous episodes, is a whole process that you can do energetically through transmuting energy and transmuting the energetic signature, the life force that came along with that person, but then was then altered in a traumatic experience. And whether that was a fight with a spouse or an abusive situation or a car accident that needs transformation. We need to go through that and clear that. I guess the spiritual form of that is a transformation of a negative energy to a positive energy through gratitude, through reframing a negative belief, self-care, self-love. Some ways of doing that are mindfulness, which gratitude is wonderful for. Meditating, huge on meditating. It really just helps you bring yourself back to the present moment. So you might not find that when you go into meditation, you're immediately going to transmute that energy. Yeah. But as you learn that practice, you're training your brain, just like when you work out and you're training your muscles, you are training your brain to come back to the present moment. So I'm a big believer in transcendental meditation, and I'm certified in that. And it's really simple. So we close our eyes to meditate, and a lot of folks can't meditate, right? That I'm thinking about the grocery list, and I'm thinking about the conversation I had with my teenager about driving, and I'm thinking about where I should put this and how am I going to get all of these things done. That's okay. Think about those things. Just as soon as you can, come back to the mantra. Just come back. And if you stay there for 30 seconds, great. 3 seconds, wonderful. And then your brain's going to start singing a song, and then you're going to hear the birds, and then you're going to go somewhere else and your foot's going to itch. Come back to the mantra. Just keep coming back. And eventually you do this twice a day, and you do this for a long amount of time. Your brain learns to come back to the moment, to come back to the breathing, to come back to what you were trying to tell it to do, which is just the mantra in meditation. But it then plays into these instances where we're feeling some sort of way that's negative, and we're able to come back to the grounding, come back to the values, come back to the belief of where we are and who we're surrounded by and what we hold to be true to ourselves.
Yeah.
Mine started with, I have a loud household all the time, and so cutting an onion and the music playing and the kids running and the dogs barking, and this was my dream and what I always wanted, but why was I overwhelmed? Why couldn't I handle all of that? And it was a whole nother process that brought like some shame and confusion. But with meditation, I was able to get to a point where I was just chopping the onion, and there was beautiful background noise, but here I was just chopping the onion. And so my energy was cleared. And sometimes there's blocks, right? We have some that we're not aware of in our chakras. And And another thing that we can do is we can transmute that, we can clear that. And that really helps with transmuting negatives to positives, which again, I don't like I need new words.
I'm with you. I'm struggling. A lot of times I'll say good, bad, and I'm like, okay, but what, it's more about the feeling. So it makes me feel amazing, or it makes me, makes me feel a certain way. So I've been trying to do the same thing. I'm working, not trying. I'm working to find the right words. So
what feels right, what kind of vibes with it. It's definitely about the feeling. And I will say energy and emotions, I mean, they're just like emotion, right? Is energy in motion. And so that's what I like to go by. So when you are feeling something, that's energy.
Yep. I will also say that one of the other words that I've been using is stagnant. So stagnant energy. And that's one of the things that I felt. I actually went to a masseuse while I was in California. And when I was done, I have never felt so relaxed from a massage than I did with her. And that's because she did trigger points. So she was able to find like all my little spots, and she knew when she got it before I even told her, and she would just bear down on it. And she would just say, breathe through it, like keep breathing until basically it went away. And there were some that I was like, oh, it's going to be a while, like I'm going to need to really breathe through this one. But afterwards, I felt amazing. Now, the next day and the next day after that, I felt like shit. She said, like this is going to be a lot because it's energy trying to move out of you. But now I feel great, like days afterwards, because now that energy, and I continued, like I had another spot and I actually did sort of it myself. I was like up against something and just like held it and breathed and did it. And it just felt amazing to be able to like move that stagnant energy out of you.
I love that you had that experience. I was also going to add in that transmuting energy is also transmuting stagnant energy. So it's not just about something that is, a higher or a lower, and changing that vibration. That stagnant energy can really build up. And the trigger point release is so beneficial. Actually, Cate has gotten really good at helping me with that. She can find those spots and help me release that. Another form, I don't know if you're familiar, is the fascia release. And it's so the body holds everything. And I think you guys have talked about that multiple times, but there's a book, The Body Keeps Score, if there are new people that haven't heard about it. So we may transmute the energy, and we may change and remap our brains and be able and feel that we are healed people, but our bodies are holding everything that we've ever gone through. And our fascia is really where it's holding it. And there is a form of therapy, massage therapy, and it releases that trauma through the fascia. And it's a beautiful experience. If anyone is interested in trying it, I highly recommend it.
I love that. I am going to pull up a couple comments that came in. So Lisa just thanked us for putting the YouTube link on LinkedIn. She said it was having a menopause moment, which is very appropriate for Lisa. And so thanks, Lisa, for joining us over on YouTube. Jen resonated with you. She said, yes, that is how I heal, is through self-love and gratitude. Gratitude is easy because self-love, you have to remind yourself and train your brain for self-love if you're dealing with PTSD. She also added, hugging myself brings me back and reminding myself that my time will come and I am loved. One of the things I heard this morning that I thought was interesting, which was related to like the energy that you want or the things that you're wanting in life. They suggested not doing affirmations, but instead ask yourself the question, like, why am I such a successful business person?
Ooh.
So like, whatever it is that you want to be, or the things that it's like believing. And so it's like, it's already happened. Like, why am I already this? And so their example was like, why am I an amazing athlete? Or, all of those types of things. And I thought that was a really cool way. So this morning, and the other thing that I heard is, don't do it at nighttime after you have all this built up energy, because you are needing to come down and be grounded the morning time after sleep. And so right as you're waking, focus on those types of things. That is when your mind and your body and the universe is more in alignment with like hearing those types of things. So I just wanted to get, both of your perspectives on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so that time is the theta state, right, babe? Like, that is
when you're falling asleep or waking up.
Yep. Right. So when you're waking up, you're still partly asleep. You're still, your entire body is really calm, and it's kind of a thin space, right? Where you can access your subconscious a little bit, I think, easier, right? In that time frame.
Definitely, I agree. So while we're in the theta state, we can connect to the higher self, the higher consciousness, and really, the question is wonderful, and I think it's a great starting point for those that are like maybe a little unfamiliar, or are just starting to navigate out of that left brain and into the spiritual realm. For me, I'm already there. So I'm already answering those questions when I'm in theta, when I'm meditating. So I don't say like, oh, why do you have this beautiful home and this wonderful marriage? It's always like, you have this, like, that it's more gratitude. I'm thanking the universe for it. I'm thanking myself for working hard to get there. And I'm envisioning and feeling that energetic vibration of where I'm at and what I'm bringing in. And maybe that's, I want a new, I want a new car. Well, oh gosh, this new car feels so great. Not, wow, what did I do to get this new car? It's, well, I worked so hard to get this new car. And I'm already answering those questions. But the question itself is a great starting point for sure.
What Amy calls it, so she says, yes, affirmations. I love that. Yeah, the subconscious must answer the question and make it so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Answering the question and making it so is exactly what it is. That's energy manifestation at its finest, because the universe is mental. You have to have these thoughts, and you have to put them into a manifestation verbally, and in action and energetically. And the more you can take it from here and put it here, and right into that heart and that solar plexus, right? That's where it's at. The more you can feel it. So the way, Sarah, you said it felt so good to know that Riley was missing you and connected to you. You felt that. You didn't necessarily just think that, right? You felt that. So you had already felt this amazing connection with her. So had you not had that, what I'm trying to, get to would be, if you wanted a connection with your child so deeply, you would feel it first. That's how you would, what does this feel like? That's the ask formation. I'm thinking that Amy's talking about. It's how does it feel? And then the more you can actually change it from a thought to a feeling, the faster it evolves.
I love that. I do think that the ask formation is when it may be in the self-doubt, or thinking that you're not worthy of getting that. So starting with the asking, like, oh, why am I this? So you start the process there, but then as you start to go beyond that, you just feel it, like, oh no, this is going to happen. And I've been in both, depending on situations. Like, I've had situations where I'm like, oh, I'm not quite so sure about these types of things. So doing that ask formation, I really like that term, Amy. But then there's other things I'm like, no, this is like happening. Like I already know it's like, like I can already see it. I can already feel it. like, no, this is like a done deal type thing, like this is happening. That's when when you really start to set intentions or that energy. I think I've been in both, and I think probably we've all been, had self-doubt on certain things as well. So I think being able to have both of those things can be super helpful.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. And really eliminating that self-doubt and just cultivating that self-love. I think J. Ro had talked about gratitude and really getting to a place of self-love. You can rewrite your energetic signature with PTSD, with depression, anything that comes along with that, right? So I am worthy, I am valued. Those types of affirmations, even in our head, looking into the mirror, into your eyes and saying, you deserve this because you work hard. Maybe not an affirmation of I'm a hard worker, but answering the question, why do I have this? Because you work hard. So my tattoos to you guys are backwards, but when I see it, it reads self-love. So when I look in the mirror every day, I remind myself that I love myself. And that really just leads to a higher vibration. And that's with the energy that I want to always carry with me.
Yeah. Well, maybe let's talk a little bit about self-love. So how does cultivating self-love contribute to our sense of energetic abundance? And what practices, can people use to help enhance the connection?
There's a huge variety, right? There's a buffet of practices. So self-love looks so different for so many people, and it's hard for so many of us to love ourselves, right? We're not taught to do that, which back to Amy, we were just talking about with our kids, we're trying to reframe that for the next generation, right? Kate and I work hard to teach our kids to love themselves just by recognizing, again, the grounding part. If recognizing what you need and asking for it or giving it to yourself is the start. So if I need to take a nap, I don't feel guilty about that, because if my child needed a nap, I would give her a nap. I love her and she's tired. If I need a meal, but I'm running late and okay, well, so-and-so's going to be upset with me. Well, I'm starving and I didn't eat today. I need to feed my body. It's very simple. It could start so small to just give yourself these physical things. And then it leads to a bigger, wow, I felt really good for taking care of myself. It was a meal. It was a little snack, but that felt great. That goes into deeper conversations with our friends and our spouses and our kids as to this is what I need, and I deserve it. So then now you deserve it, right? Now you value yourself. Now you value yourself because there's love there.
The contrast being like if you're in that moment and you were rushing all day and you realize you didn't eat, and as you're eating, you're beating yourself up about it. You're saying like, God, what a fucking idiot. Like I should have eaten earlier. Now I'm eating and now I'm going to make everybody else late and people are going to be pissed at me. Or maybe it's not you're mad at yourself. Maybe you're mad at like your whole situation. You're like, oh, well, had so-and-so not done this, I would have had time to eat. Like I think recognizing those thought patterns that are easy to slip into versus what you were just talking about, honey, where you were like, that moment of pausing to actually nourish myself is something I need to like relish in the moment, because that you're feeding yourself that same energy, right? Like if you're feeding yourself physically, but the energy that's following along with it is a lower vibration and it isn't kind and it isn't grateful, then you're only fueling the tank halfway.
Yeah, and you're so right. And the reason I'm going with the meal thing is because it starts so small, and you're right, it's a whole mindset. So it's not just I need to eat. And then I'm upset because these kids didn't pack their stuff to get ready to get out of the house, and my spouse went straight to work and didn't help me. It's that really starts to help to set the tone of saying, hey, if you guys could pack your own lunches the night before, it really helps me so I can take care of feeding you guys in the morning and feeding myself. Right? So I'm not doing it all. So then again, there you are saying this is what I need to people, and then they do it. They show you that they care, and that feeds the energy of, oh, they care about me. That was pretty simple. And if they don't, you reiterate it. I really don't like to feel stressed when I leave the house. It helps if I can also enjoy my breakfast. I love cooking breakfast for you guys, but if you could help get the stuff loaded in the car, simple, right? And you just reiterate what you need at a baseline level. Then when you are eating, you're not thinking, oh, I'm so mad that I had to do this and I had to repeat this and then you're eating anger. You're just fueling yourself with chaos. Where people say you put love intentionally into food when someone's sick, right? Like, I made this with love for you. Here's your soup. We do that all day long, though. When we sit down to a meal and we're quiet in our head, or we're talking with our family, regardless of what we're doing, that meal has energy. What we are putting into our physical body, how that meal was created, not thanking the universe or God or what, your belief system for giving you that meal first. That's energy right there. You're forgetting gratitude before you nourish yourself. So remembering to be grateful for that meal and reframing those negative beliefs is so important. And then on a higher level, taking time to meditate, whether that's a walk in nature or a sound bath, taking time to meet with a friend, just really giving yourself what you need. And it could be in the day-to-day with your family. It could be cuddling with your cat and reading your book, but without the cycle of, I shouldn't be doing this, I need to be doing more. Or I don't deserve this. That's the worst thing we can do for ourselves, is I don't deserve this, because we do. We work so hard to get to a place to where we deserve it, but we are all creatures that deserve love because we are beings of light. And the goal, energy is everything. And we're here to learn to create more of it and manipulate it to be the best planet we can be. So if we are telling ourselves that we don't deserve it, what are we going to carry out that day?
Right. Absolutely. J-Ro has this little trick. She has a number 5 at her desk that reminds her when she's down that still there are millions that would give anything to live 5 minutes of my life, shitstorm and all. So to be grateful, and so we, as humans, we can use those little tricks if we want to help, transmute the energy that we're feeling and that we're carrying in those moments, right? Whatever it takes, but being able to be grateful for the simple things, like you said, is a fantastic way to start, right? Because if you're grateful for the breath that you are able to take in, right? If you're grateful for the air that is surrounding you, if you're grateful for every meal, you're going to carry your ability to manipulate the way you're thinking about those moments will carry through into more moments in your day.
And it gets bigger, so now I've had some pretty traumatic life experiences, and I'm grateful for them. I am grateful that I handled them the way that I did, and that I'm still continuing the life that I have. And that deepened my spirituality. I wanted to know, why did this happen? A lot of people want to know, why did this happen? What's going on? And for me, that led to a belief of, I chose these lessons. I needed to know them, and I needed to, had Sarah had my life experiences, she would have handled them differently. Had Cate had them, she would have handled them differently. Everyone handles experiences differently. The way I handled it was the lesson I needed to learn. And I am actually 100%, I believe that I did it the way that I needed to progress and to be a higher spiritual being. I could have gone so many other ways with it, and I chose not to. And so I'm grateful that I was able to make it through those. So it's a little bit more now than just being grateful for the yogurt that I'm quickly shoveling in my mouth in the morning.
Yeah. So, I mean, what you're also talking about is, in a lot of ways, the purpose, our soul's purpose on why it is we're also here. And so maybe you can talk a little bit about how can we identify and align our energy with our soul's purpose, and what signs should we be looking for? Like, how did you mentioned that the experiences you went through, we would have, done something different because we have our own soul's purpose. How did your experiences impact your soul's purpose? And then what signs can others look for?
So for me, I will go off of my belief system. And I've learned a lot recently. In the past year or so, I've been certified in quantum healing hypnosis technique and beyond quantum healing. And I've done a lot of work with folks in this quantum realm of learning about past lives and parallel lives, future life progression, and connecting that with the soul and the higher self as to why we go through what we go through in this present time. So when you connect with yourself as an ascended master, it all makes sense. Oh, this is why Jenna in this year is going through this. Mm. Now, I don't know how to connect all of that to answer your question, Sarah. But a lot of it was finding myself, finding my reason for being here. And when I was in that theta state, so as Cate talked about, it's not hypnosis like you see on TV, you're getting sleepy. It's a theta state. It's a relaxed meditative state that we all experience every day anyway. Our brain does it. I did have these realizations and these visions of past lives and what was going on and why I was experiencing present day experiences for myself. And I still listen to that audio recording and I'm, that makes, this was last November. And so if anyone has the opportunity to do a quantum session, I highly recommend it. You guys interviewed Wava Morrow in September. Her and I have connected a lot. I traveled to see her in Missouri. She did a quantum session for me. Her and I are connected spiritually now. She's mentoring me. That has really helped me reframe a lot. I don't know if that answers your question about soul's purpose, but that has really helped me find my soul purpose.
Yeah. What do you feel like your soul's purpose is?
Love. Okay. It's in one word, love. Akashic readings, if you're not familiar, I would highly recommend doing an Akashic reading on yourself, finding out past lives and where your soul has been, what you've endured. I also that has helped me tremendously. I've known that this time frame right now, like this purpose was really important about motherhood. For me, that's been big. But in my Akashic reading, it came up that I chose friendship. So I'm diving into that. That's new for me. One of my purposes was friendship, and I would have never guessed that. So I'm still learning.
Yeah,
it's always a journey of growth and learning.
Yeah, and I think it's evolving. Like I feel like over time, like your purpose more is revealed to you as time goes on. And so like your purpose right now might be one thing, and then it becomes something else. And, as I feel, this is, my belief system is that I feel like maybe we know ultimately the some of the higher levels, but it still continues to sort of evolve as you learn more and more in the things that you're doing. So that ascension that you're talking about as well, that maybe you're not quite ready for the next information.
Exactly. It all happens when we're ready. And so that's why I'm still listening to the recording of my quantum healing session, because some things that didn't make sense to me for 6 months are starting to make sense because I wasn't ready for them. And, it's not necessarily a linear time frame, right? It's a little bit different when you're popping into different realms and existences. And yeah, it is an evolution, and it's raising that vibration. That's the goal energetically, to get to a vibrational level to where you can manipulate and create your reality.
Yeah. I wonder if a lot of people, I'd be curious from our audience, do people feel like they can do that? Like, do they feel like that is a thing that you can manipulate and transform your life the way that, and I think that people think the way that I want it, but I think that sometimes it's being very purposeful and being very clear in what you're wanting, in what it is you're saying. So if you say, I want to be happy, what does happy look like? So it's, it's the words that we use, or the things that, the understanding a little bit more about how we can be more clear in what it is that we're wanting. And also sometimes one of the things that I found is you have to be in action. So you can't just say, this is what I want. And, we talked about the law of action previously. You also have to be in action to demonstrate that you're getting there as well.
Yeah, the more detail, the better, right? So I want to be happy. Okay, well, I'm happy when I'm watching TV, but I'm also, like, how happy do you want to be? Do you want to be happy in love? Do you want to be happy because your bills are paid? Like, what happy do you want to be?
Yeah.
And then back to the feeling, you want to feel that. You want to really, so being in action with the law of action, the law of energy, you want to be that energy. You want to, as often as you can, you want to embody that energetic signature that you want to create. So, there's a saying that I've been using, that Delulu becomes Tralulu. So the more delusional you can be, the more truth it is, right? So if I am thinking, wow, I want to travel all the time. Okay, so I'm traveling all the time. I am putting myself on that beach. I am feeling that vibe. And I'm thinking about as much detail as possible. Well, where are my kids? Are they with me? Are they at home having fun? What does this all look like? I'm playing this all out. And I've done this multiple times in my life. That's how I married Cate. I was already married to someone else, but I knew that I was going to marry Cate. And I just constantly felt what it would feel like. And here we are, 20 years later. So,
yeah. By the way, you mentioned earlier, and it was something that struck me, but we ended up going on to a different topic, but you mentioned the word, sound, so sound, for example, sound healing. And I wanted to just touch upon that because I know that that's also a part of your life. And so I wanted to, maybe can you explain some techniques for sound healing and how they can help in sort of transmuting the energy and fostering energy, evolution?
Absolutely. So sound is medicine. Frequencies are medicine. So you can look us up on Spotify, Amazon Music. You can really access us anywhere. There are frequencies for everything, for healing, for manifesting. You can, and if you don't have access to that, you can take a pot and a pan and you can walk through your house and bang those around. And I like to do this twice a month, and I knock on my kids' doors and I say, here I come. And they're like, okay, Mom. And I clear the stagnant energy with sound, because
wow.
it vibrates and it moves the energy.
It's like, I found it's really easy. Sorry to interrupt, but I found it's really easy for people who don't really understand like what energy is to think of it as a sound wave, right? So we've all learned in science that it's like, and so when it becomes stagnant, there's nothing there. Like there's just very little bumps, right? And so that's a part of what you can do with sound, right?
I'm glad that you guys talked about the science last week. I watched, you guys talk about Einstein's theory and E=mc², because I thought, oh gosh, mine is just more of like this authentic like life that I have, like that I live. And so I'm so glad they're doing the left brain science stuff. Thank you for bringing the science into it, Kate. But she's right. So, say the kids had a disagreement, or Kate and I had a disagreement. Well, then we're going to get out tuning forks. Thank you for those for my birthday a couple years ago, Sarah. Or we're going to do sound baths, sound bowls. We're just going to clank some lids together, because we're going to move that energy. We're going to move what that was out of here. We're just going to cleanse it. Tuning forks are wonderful. If you're familiar with them, you can put them actually directly on chakras. Just a quick tap, and kind of clear any blockages that you have in those chakras. We've done some sound baths here locally and help folks with that. I would highly recommend that, because like Kate said, it is like energy. So even if you're having woo, you can kind of make it a little bit calmer, or if you're just stagnant, you can push it along to where you need to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I use binaural beats, so I just go onto YouTube and I search out certain things. So I tend to do 30 hertz, for example. I like the lower, anything from 5 to 40 hertz. I don't know why I resonate more with the lower tones. But whenever I have a headache, I think I've mentioned this before, I go in, I type in headache binaural beats. And there's one that has a guy with a red little, thing on his head. And I listen to that one. It's a particular one. And every time I have a headache, the waves come in this side, and then there's a different wave that comes in the other ear. So you have to, binaural beats are different tones on both sides. So you have to have ear pods or have the ability to earphones, whether it's that. But I also love sound baths. For people that don't know what that is, it's really just a bowl that people are making a noise with it. And I've gone to a sound bath as well, just to sit there, meditate, and they have like different types of like those rain. I can't remember what it's called, but they have like all these different sounds. Like some of them sound like the jungle, like some of the things that they have there. And so I just love sound. And it also reminds me that one of the things that I had learned with even music, for example, is that there are certain tones of music that are supposed to be more towards lifting us up, and other ones that depending on the frequency, that actually are meant to lower our vibration. And I want to say it's 432 is supposed to bring it up, but they changed it to 440, which is the one that actually brings us down. I'll have to go back and double check that. But I believe that, a lot of the music was changed over the years, and they believe that a lot of that was meant to sort of lower our vibration. But a lot of musicians have been changing back to I believe it's the 432. I don't know if that's if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I am. I do get the numbers mixed up as well.
Yeah.
And I do also feel that that's why classical music, being like one of the first music before we had, instrumental music, came before we had like artists that were performing and singing, right? And that it is calming. That is something that you just feel calm when you're listening to it. So our now 10-year-old, when he was 2, would just get a sound machine in his room that played white noise for sleep, but it also had a button for classical music. And without being prompted or ever shown that he could do this, he would get upset and go in his room and turn it on and press that button. As a 2-year-old, he felt calmer afterwards. And so you're right, it is very healing. And I would suggest that, if you can just listen to different frequencies and find what works for you. Some people prefer that lower vibrational. Do it. And the sounds of nature, that's a frequency.
Yeah. Creeks, oceans. I know a lot of people that like
Birds.
Those types of things. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
One other thing you mentioned, and I'm just going to pull it up. So my daughter, when she went to Europe, this is one of the things that she got me was a crystal because she knows that I love. So I have a huge amethyst. It's now on our kitchen table, the counter that we have in the middle of the kitchen now. So it's a big version of this. And so you mentioned crystals, and maybe I just wanted to touch upon that as well, because a lot of people use that from an energy perspective. Can you talk maybe a little bit about your knowledge on that, on how people, or even how you have used crystals?
Yeah. So I love amethyst. That's a wonderful one. And I love that amethyst brings connection and fosters relationships. So I love, again, that just keeps circling back for you and Riley. We have a huge amethyst that I have out on our family table by the entryway. And I just feel that it kind of always cleanses the energy for what's going on in our home. I sometimes will just put crystals in my bra. It's super simple. I'm depending on what I'm doing that day, I want to be, very in tune with my higher self. So I'm going to put this in. I want some protection. I'm going to put this in. I need better sleep, or just more intentional about it. So you really can use them in any way that you want to. I'm not very knowledgeable as to what crystal does what. So I kind of just choose what feels right for me that day, and it works. And that's kind of how I do everything. But I believe that the energy speaks to me and I grab it. So I do know, Cate and I have a nice rose quartz in the middle of of the table by our bed. And I feel that helps our relationship. We just keep it in our bedroom.
Yeah. And I know there's charts out there, so if people are interested in that, I do know that the white quartz, for example, is for clearing energy as well, if I remember correctly. But there's lots of charts, so people that are interested in that, it's one of the things that I've started to do is sort of collect a little bit more, crystals and things like that. And I think a lot of it is also just spending time on what you can do to, ground, and as that you said, but also being able to clear out energy as well. And there's a reason that people, did like sage. And I know that there's different philosophies. Some people think maybe not sage and they do other things, but I think, part of it is just, like you said, even just clanging the pots, to move the sound and move things. So trying different things, I think, is really the key, doing, like you said, what feels right for you, because you will know. I think part of it is trusting your body, trusting, and that feeling, going back to that feeling of, well, you tell me what feels right to you. What are you feeling, a part of energy, and also sort of trusting that, because a lot of times people don't necessarily trust, because they've been told, that's bullshit, and so it's like, okay, we'll just try it. Like, what harm does it really do in just going ahead and experimenting and trying some of those things? And if it doesn't work, then, move that out of your life.
Yeah. And grounding. So it's as simple as just taking your shoes off and going outside and really planting. It's a really simple thing. So if you don't have crystals, or you don't have the funds to get crystals or tarot cards or any sort of divination like that, if you just go outside and put your bare foot on snow, on wood, on rocks, on sand, in water, in mud, on grass, and you wrap your toes around it as if you're trying to pick it up, and you just stand there, that's going to cleanse your energy. It's going to clear, it's full of antioxidants. So your toxins are just going to be cleared. Or stand next to a tree. If you're a sensory person and you don't want to do that with your feet, don't do it. Stand next to a
tree. Yeah.
a tree. I do know this about science. There's some scientific proof that trees clear your energy. So if you're within 10 feet of them, you can stand there. You can even talk to them. You can tell the trees how this person harmed you or how this made you feel. And they will listen and they will absorb it, and the universe will take care of it. So you can just talk to a tree.
Yeah. I love that. I want to start to wrap things up. If people have any questions or things that they want to pose to Jenna, but I want to sort of focus on a little bit more final thoughts. And so, Jenna, today we've talked about a lot related to energy. And maybe if you can add any final thoughts that as people are thinking about the things that they can do to set themselves up with having amazing energy in their life, what are some of the things final thoughts that you would focus on that people should think about?
It's all about intention. So again, you don't need these tools. You don't need to have books. You don't need to have cards. You don't even need to have access to a tree if you don't. So it's intention. It's what you hold within. So if your intention is pure and clear, it will manifest. I will say that. It's really about self-love. It's about gratitude, communicating with yourself, really understanding who you are, what you value, and what your intention on this planet is. And if you're unsure, dive into it. And if you have someone close that you can ask, don't be afraid. We are all here for one another, and we come into each other's lives for a purpose, for a reason. So if you have that person that kind of seems like a mirror to you, you use it for a mirror. you use that connection to say, what do you see? Because they might be receiving messages from your guides and their guides that you are not allowing yourself to hear. And so I would just say, make sure you rely on that support system if you are not feeling comfortable doing it yourself. Because you had mentioned earlier, what if you feel lost? What if you're not sure? But if you are sure and you're already there, keep going, keep evolving. That's the goal, to keep raising that vibration.
Yeah, and all you need is the intention to do so.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sacred geometry, look into that. Huge believer in sacred geometry, and so that's my last little gift.
Thank you, Jenna. Kate, do you want to help wrap things up, and then I'll end things?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for being here today, babe. I think it was.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, always. We would be, I think, lost in this universe without our humanity and our energy, right? Those things are intertwined, whether we like it or not, and finding the ways that you can manipulate that for your benefit, as well as leveraging, your intuition and your intentions to make the world a better place for not just yourself, but for the larger, universe, the larger aspects of this life that we're all here to lead. Frankly, I don't think there's anything that's not, that that can be more badass than that, right? I mean, so my thoughts and my energy leaving this session today is filled with reminders of self-love, reminders of, we all know what we're here for in our hearts. We all know, what's pure, what feels pure to us. We know it's there. And we don't have to fight it. We don't have to push against it. We don't have to question it. It's badass to embrace it and to be, right? That's enough. We're all enough. So I just really, I always enjoy listening to you. That's why I married you. Of course, getting to see you is even better, right? But I really enjoyed the energy you brought today to the conversation, and the tools that you shared, and the validation that you gave to us and our audience about the experiences that we're having right now as humans, and how we can tie them to our entire soul's purpose and mission here. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I just want to add, like what you said, how we're all connected, and that's the universal life force energy is beautiful, and that collective consciousness is something that we can all tap into, and being a part of it, being aware that you're connected to it is really a big piece of, wow, I'm a part of this bigger picture, and that really adds to self-value. It makes you feel small and enormous at the same time, right? So the collective consciousness, universal life force energy, really finding a way to have that divine speak through you is beautiful. So any form of divination that you can find, mine is tarot card reading. I believe that the divine just speaks through and tells the person that I'm reading for and myself messages that are just magical. I don't have a way to describe it. Some people get that through prayer, through meditation, or again, like connecting with someone they love. You can hear messages. And so just really paying attention. There's always messages from the universe, from God, from the higher source, your belief. There's every turn, there's a message there. And if you pay attention, it'll just be amazing to you how, like, oh, okay, that's easy. And it's in time then, you're just getting them left and right. So yeah, paying attention is key.
Yeah. And I think that's at the base of what we say when we all say everything is energy. That's what we mean, right? Let every single fucking place you look and you, everywhere you turn, there's more there for you, right? Yes. Because it is all energy.
Yeah.
Hi, Weva.
Hey, Weva. So Facebook is working. So thank you for joining us, Weva. And Jenna, thank you for your gift today. The gift of energy that you are giving to us, the gift that you give to people in your lives, and also those that may receive energy that don't even realize that they're getting energy from you as well. Because I really do believe that energy moves beyond us and to others, the people that you impact, then, impact others as well. So thank you for that, for continuing to just elevate the overall life force that is, the universe, and the energy within all of us. So thank you for that.
Thank you both for having me on again. I absolutely love the two of you. I adore you both, and having the opportunity to connect about the law of energy and to be able to share this was, a gift for me. So thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to wrap things up today. And so just as a reminder, next Friday, Cate and I are going to get vulnerable. We're going to talk. We're going to be talking about authentic energy. And so the vibration and flow amongst us. And then also we're going to have sort of some sales synergy with the two guests that we're going to have at the end of the month. Both of them are involved in sales, but we're going to talk about how the energy elevating performance through energetic principles and the things that they do related to their area of expertise. And so we're going to have Paul Pierce, who is the president of Great Demo, and then also Elise Carbone, who is the head of partner sales for EMEA APAC at Deltec. So she is on the international side of things. So we're super excited to have two amazing sales individuals to talk about. I'm calling it synergy, sales synergy for the fourth week of the month. And so again, thank you so much for joining us, Jenna. Thank you to our audience for your interaction. We hope that you enjoyed today's energy and you take a different approach to Friday the 13th in the energy that it brings, and realizing that, as Jenna stated, our intent, the mindset that we have is really what allows us to be able to set the energy in what it is that we're wanting in life. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.